Hey there, welcome. Lotus, Art of Sacred Embodiment. Thanks for being here. Welcome back. And if you are brand new, then I work with all things embodiment, which is perfect for our talk today for the Taurus full moon, which is going to be upon us on the 5th. So right around the corner. Today is the 3rd. So what is today? It'll be Wednesday. So welcome. We're going to talk a little bit about this full moon and really how this ties in with embodiment and why embodiment is super important. And there's also on Patreon, you can do the full moon journey with light language. And if you're a member over there, then you already get that automatically. You can also purchase it for $7.77. And we take you on a journey with the qualities and energies of the moon and light language. And it's an internal process, an internal voyage. So if you would like to check that out, then I will put the link below. So, the Taurus full moon, I'm not really an astrologer, but what I love is the symbolism of the archetypes and really working with those symbolisms and the qualities and traits that we all carry within us and how we can come into that deeper relational intimacy with ourselves through the moon expressions. With the Taurus full moon, we're dealing with the earth energy, we're dealing with the feminine energies, and we're dealing with the bull. So for me, sometimes that's kind of counter, the bull as the feminine, and yet that earthenness, right, really makes sense, and that full-bodied presence. So when we're looking the difference between, let's say, spirit and matter, right, there's many different ways that all of these break down, carry different qualities, carry different archetypal expressions, carry oftentimes very real, energetic blueprints. So spirit becomes brought into matter through the body, right? That's one way of looking at it. The body, the physical body of all of us represent the feminine. And then the soul represents the feminine. And then the spirit, that energetic quality, is the masculine, right? We're inspired. Intuition is sort of that inner sense of the feminine, and then inspiration is that masculine way of moving and connecting those downloads, we could say. So when we're working with the bull or Taurus, we're really looking at grounding. And particularly within this year, it's been a very fast year. There has been many things falling apart, while simultaneously many things are activating. Now, if you're only focused on what's crumbling and what's falling apart, you may miss the amazing things that are activating, both primarily really within us, but also on our planet. So as the feminine, right, as the matter, we have this body temple. We have this sacred vessel that is inspirited or ensouled by spirit. And that is part of the embodiment process of the ascension trajectory that we're on. And you might use different language. You might resonate with that. You may not. I use the term ascension because we are ascending, but really we are remembering. We are remembering who we are beyond our personality and our ego identification. So we're going to get into a little bit of that. First, I want to talk about the qualities of the moon. And again, to really focus on some of that, you can hop over onto the Patreon and receive the activations. But we're looking at, right, this way of creating stability and foundation. We're looking at what do we need to tend to with consistency, and what is it that we need to be nourishing, and really, that self-love and taking care of our body and creating things of value. Like, what do we really value? What is beautiful to us? Particularly because we've got some Venus in the mix right now as well. Venus is all about beauty. Venus is all about love, self-care, tenderness, gentleness in many ways, many other qualities, but those are the ones that are coming to mind right now with this moon phase. Any moon cycle is about going within, whether it's the full moon or the new moon. It's still an invitation to go within. It is one of the best ways, as I've said before, to stay in touch with, if you aren't already, or to stay riding the ebbs and flows of organic time. And the importance of organic time and the natural cycles and rhythms of life. So we're now in the north, in the northern hemisphere, right? We're in fall, and the leaves are falling. Everything's turning golden here, and it's super beautiful. It's cold at night, nice during the day, crisp. The nights are getting shorter and shorter, or getting longer, and the days are getting shorter and shorter. And so it's really utilizing this time to start taking stock, right? The fall and the winter invites us to take stock of everything that's come before, earlier through the year. And like I said before, I don't know about you guys, but I'm guessing we've all had a very busy 2025. And, excuse me, I have had a very busy 2025 externally, but boy, internally, it has been rocking it. And, the levels of refinements. So I mentioned this in the other, in the video for the activation at the intro, and I'm going to mention it here, that always looking through phases and stages, right, of what we're doing and our growth and our awakening process, our healing. When we're like in the throes of the healing, let's just say that's when we're working through that dense karma. That's when it's really obvious, right? Our wounds are sort of wide open. They're raw. They might be festering a little bit. And when they're triggered, we're still in those early stages. It's like, this is real. This is me. Right? Whatever is wrong in that wound is somehow, something is wrong with me, something is wrong with you, something is wrong with my life, my experience, all of that. So the first level of healing is really making your way through the trenches, so to speak, of that, right? So lotus, I'm sure many of you know, right? How does a lotus grow? The lotus grows up through mud, right? Up through the muck, up through the darkness, moving always towards the light. And so my name is not Lotus by mistake. I've had many journeys that it took to move myself up through the muck and the mud. And when we start reaching, right, like we're not quite open, that lotus is not quite open, but the blooms are like, oh, reaching up, and they're peeking up through the top of that fluid, that watery, muddy water. Like that trudging and the sludging becomes less. We know what we're doing, right? We kind of know how these cycles go. We're not identifying with that darkness as much. We see the vision, right? There is light. There's something more than what we've known. And so it's allowing ourselves to continue to heal, but not identifying with the wounds anymore. Instead, we've started to come home to ourselves. We know ourselves a little bit more deeply. We know that our messiness comes from the forgetfulness and the confusion based on the wounds. But by the time we're peeking through, we recognize that we aren't our personality really anymore, right? We aren't our wounds anymore, but there's something more. And yet, we're still going to get triggered. We're still going to have to take the next level looks at what isn't working. What in me is still not really in my highest alignment. And then when that lotus opens up, to the complete openness and bloom, that's that connection with the divine. And what I'm going to say from the human perspective is, I don't know when we actually just rest in our complete divinity. And yet, I do know that we hit these stages, and this is, I think, just part of the ascension and the evolution process, where whatever healing we have left to do is very fast. It can be very fast. It's very efficient. We acknowledge, we look, we feel, and we look at the truth. We know what the truth is by this time. And the more that we're connecting in with divine source, with love, with God, right? Whatever you want to call, with the universe, with life. When we're recognizing that, oh, we're a part of that. We're not a part of that mud as much anymore. It's supported us in a lot of ways. But now we're drinking in the light. And then it just becomes, we're not healing anymore. We're just remembering the wholeness that we always have been. We just have been confused. So there's refinements and refinements and refinements. All of this is a part of our evolution, our spiritual evolution, as we begin to remember more and more that we have very human qualities and we have very divine qualities. And this is another way of talking about that divine union. The light of the divine, right, where everything has come from at one point, enters into the matter of our humanity. And this is where we're at. So this Taurus full moon can hold great power for us to really recognize that it's the stabilization and the foundations within us that are going to sustain us and help us create a different kind of reality in the world around us. So there is a way that we have been being given the opportunities over and over and over. And we're going to continue to get these opportunities to keep receiving the light. Keep receiving and opening even further, right? Opening the heart, opening the petals of the heart and of the crown. To keep receiving the information, the downloads, the data of our divine expressions. And that is what we are now beginning to literally embody. Taurus is about this deep embodiment. It is about anchoring and rooting and stabilizing foundations in both the material world and within us. And within us is growing to be more and more importance, because the realities are really within us. Reality actually is within us, right? And so what we're wanting to co-create as we move forward into more of a more pure, energetic, dimensional expression, right? As we're leaving this 3D and moving up into the higher dimensions through our consciousness, through our heart, through our healing and wholeness. The more whole that we become, the more we open. We become operating in the energetics versus the material as much. So we're working on really embodying the templates of the new energetic structures and foundations. Super cool, super exciting. These might be collective. I'm recognizing them more so as personal templates and paradigm shifting templates that have not landed completely. You know, we can put them all in the category of the new earth or heaven on earth or the golden age, whatever, you know, whatever we want to call it. All that is higher love, right? Everything that amplifies love more, and peace and joy and celebration and freedom. So as we look at this full moon, we get this opportunity to really pay attention to what are the weeds that need to be pulled out and discarded, and what are the seeds or the sprouts, or even just those very beginning blossoms that need to be tended to, that need to be cultivated and held, right? Wherever energy goes, or wherever attention goes, energy flows. So we want to not be negating anything that needs to be made conscious and released as far as what we don't want to bring along with us into 2026, okay? Because we're really, as you guys already know, I've talked about this, we have a leap that we're making since October. And this leap is going to take us through winter solstice and beyond. Really, the main things that we're being asked to do right now is what I just said. Tend to our inner landscape. Tend to those seeds of our divinity. What would that be, right? What does that mean? Seeds of our divinity. So, happiness is a human frequency and expression. we want to access happiness. We want to cultivate happiness. We want to align ourselves with things in our life that we're happy about, right? That we can stay in that alignment of happiness and upliftment. The divine quality of happiness is an octave higher. And that is a frequency that is not a feeling state. It is a divine state of being, which means it is joy. Joy is always in us, right? Divine states do not go up and down with circumstances and conditions. They're always there, but they rest deep within us, and we activate them by our desire for our divinity, in one way to say it, and we receive the downloads and the frequencies of the light coming from the cosmos, the earth, the sun, that is transforming us, that is evolving humanity rapidly. So we are on that precipice this year, closing out this year, moving into a new year, right? Closing out a whole cycle with this year. What cycles are you letting go of, right? What big cycle in your life? That's a timeline. We can look at it as, what timeline have you been in that isn't working? It's time to be closed. It's time to be moved off into closure, to create space for the 1 year, which is new beginnings. The new beginnings come in with 2026, right? That's the numerical value broken down into that power of 1. And so this year is going to finish off with leaping us, but we need to be choosing it, right? I've already talked about this before, the power of our choice coming into relationship with these energies. And what that really means is creating the space inside of us that is grounded, that is stable by our own soul presence. And so that state of being is peace. That we come into peace more and more and more, and allow that foundation of peace to both hold what is releasing, to be able to be the stability when the world around us or parts of our lives are breaking apart, when we're having massive tower moments, either individually or collectively. And allow peace to bring clarity, to hold us in that safety within, in connection with life, in connection with divine source, connection with love, and to allow these activations to awaken the states of being of our divinity within us, so that literally we are no longer just happy that will lead to sadness, right? Or excitement that leads to disappointment. Instead, we're riding our own evolution into divine states, our divinity, where we're actually operating more from peace, more from joy, more from enthusiasm rather than excitement, more from love, personal love, but divine love, more from like a celebratory rejoicing. That is the word I'm looking for. Rejoicing. Right? Abundance. So these are actually the qualities that we were meant to hold. And the more that we come out of the mud and open to the divine, and the more that we start to recognize it doesn't take long, we really start to know, oh, this is what it means to remember who I am. Right? The more that we heal, the more that we come into wholeness, the more we remember our true innocence, the essence of innocence as who we are. And the more we cultivate those seeds, it doesn't mean that we're not going to have the human feelings, but it starts to mean that we are embodying more. We are operating and vibrating and spending more time in our divine recognition than we are in our wounding, than we are in pain and suffering, than we are in protection mode, than we are in seeking outside of ourselves to be fulfilled. Because once we start anchoring in and embodying and tending to the loving care of the divine, entering into our hearts, we could start to say that we then are being cultivated by love's wisdom. We are being tended to by life's flourishing, life's life-giving. But this is the relationship that we have to be responsible for saying yes to, because the density can be very strong and it can continuously keep us on a treadmill that doesn't serve us anymore. So the more that we come into these higher states that are us, the easier it is to continue to let go of those things that tether us and bind us to the dimensional experiences that are crumbling. The choice is ours. The choice is ours on where we put our attention and how we are being open to receive these energies coming in. So I'm going to close this off with, I think I started to say this, one of the strongest suggestions that aligns us with the season, with the moon cycle, right? With the longer nights and shorter days, is to be in more non-doing, to be in letting go, to allow those parts of us to die away, and simply nurture that which is showing up, right? If you're ending a cycle, if you're letting go of a whole other framework, right, of your life, then it's time to really spend time with that integration and allow yourself to come home more fully in this now, into the emptiness perhaps, into the non-doing, and then wait and listen for what is truly calling. What does that look like? What does that mean for you? What do you value about that? How is this changing you, this piece, this stage of the process? Because we don't embody unless we digest and integrate our lives completely. It's not a quick fix. And if you have been creating, like I've been in creation mode, then now is the time to receive everything that's been created thus far. There's nothing more to do. Right? Allow the winter to continue to help anchor in everything that's already been done. Allow the embodiment of these new foundations to stabilize. And what does this mean? Right? What does this mean about who you are now? What this looks like, what this feels like. Because until we integrate, things are going to feel a little wonky, or we're going to feel like something's wrong and we've got to like backstep somehow. Allow that time where it feels a little wonky to settle. And where you're going to feel your truth is by going inside and getting quiet and still and listening and asking for guidance from your own higher self, your deeper soul presence, from God, from life, from nature, from the trees, right? We have a beautiful, beautiful time coming up. And the energetics are becoming really palpable. And the assistance and the upliftment and the petals opening to the light, ironically happening through the darkening, right? But we can allow that full moon, the light of that full moon, to really shine down and reveal, right? What am I missing? Right? What is waiting for me? What are the signs that I haven't quite seen? And what is done? It's time to release. It's time to let go. It's time to come into a new timeline as we move into a 1 year. So I think that's it. So I send you off in like beauty and love. And just that recognition that we are so supported. I want to just continue to affirm that, right? Life has our back. Our higher realm helpers are there. We just have to follow their lead and let go of, our crazy mind sometime, and let go of the crazy world out there and tune in here. All right. That is it. Much love. Many blessings. See you soon.